Well, good morning and welcome to Mornings with James, Jess FM, Jess TV. It is a great morning, a little bit on the smoky side outside, but you know what? It's going to be a beautiful day. Here we are, the middle of the week, and we're working our way towards the end of August, and I cannot believe how fast the summer is flying by. So let me paint the scenario for you. I'm at a friend's place on Saturday. We're talking about just different stuff, power of the mind, focus, everything along those lines. And I meet this guy who I've known for years, but it's like the only time I ever run into him is at this friend's place, and we get talking about martial arts, we get talking about this, that, next thing. Anyway, I end up saying, well, you know, hey, from time to time I can be kind of a focused guy, and why don't you do some kicks and you can come on my radio program and we'll talk about, you know, the stuff you do. And so for the next, I think, 15 or 20 minutes, he practiced some devastating leg blows on me. And it was good fun. I survived. I've been able to do stairs since then. A lot of people were kind of concerned, but it's that focus stuff that I do. And I just got to say this: I'm so glad to have this gentleman on the program. Brad, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you could be here. And you know, a lot of people were really concerned. And now, you know, when we talk about devastating leg blows, I'm talking about mixed martial arts, and Brad is Brad. You own the
Yes.
Progressive Fighting Academy.
I own Progressive Fighting Academy.
Okay, and what belts do you hold?
I hold 2 world titles, 2005 and 2006. I won middleweight Muay Thai titles in Muay Thai, and World Kickboxing Association was the one organization, and IKF was the other organization that I won those world titles in.
So, I think if I'd known that, because you're a very down to earth guy, you don't talk about this legacy of championships that you have, but you're an incredibly skilled athlete and fighter. I mean, if I was in my right mind, I don't think I would ever say, "Hey, Brad, kick me in the back of the leg. You know, give me an elbow to the face, whatever." I would never do that because you're a lethal weapon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Like over the years, you know, like we make ourselves lethal weapons by, you know, years and years of training and staying focused on our goals.
Mm-hmm. How did you get started in all this? Because I mean, obviously, it's not something you just kind of wake up and you're like, "Oh, I want to do this." I mean, you traveled all over the world.
Yes, traveled all over the world, but I actually got started because I wanted to get in shape in high school for basketball. And I had a friend of mine in 1995 who was like, "Hey man, kickboxing is amazing. Come try this class out with Junior Olsen and Trevor Hardy. It's just a fun, fit way to, you know, get in shape." And that's how it all got started.
Yeah. Well, you know, Junior Olsen, you mentioned that name, and I remember him from way back in the day. And of course, you know, we don't find him around anymore. But Trevor Hardy, of course, very well known in the hockey community, and just a very very great advocate of personal fitness.
Yes, yeah, yeah. He's done amazing things nowadays when he's focused. He's focused on developing hockey and athletes at his hard training program, and he does a phenomenal job with that. And yeah,
It's, you know, I'm surprised it's you know, the martial arts world is a very very small world, I think, isn't it?
absolutely is very small. It's
But
a small
here,
family.
yeah, but here you've got these world titles and everything. Tell me a little bit more about that. You got into it because you wanted to be in better shape for basketball,
Yeah.
and then how does it kind of move forward? How do you balance? How do you stay focused in it, because you get beat up a lot?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you stay in the game? What's your motivation for it?
You know, it's just getting back up on that horse after you've been, you know, knocked off, and continually doing that. And eventually you come to a point in time where you realize that, you know, you're better than you were the last time. And every time you do that, you keep getting a little bit better. And so martial arts can be a very humble experience. I use jiu-jitsu, for example. You can get tapped out 1,000 times, but the guys who get tapped out that many times are the people who are generally going to be more successful. So at first it can be, you know, like a humbling experience in that sense before you get better.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why it's you end up becoming, you know, more successful.
Yeah. Can you tell us the difference between, for example, Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu and say Taekwondo?
Okay.
Because a couple of them people are really familiar with, but and everyone hears the word Muay Thai, but what's the difference?
Okay, so Muay Thai is Thailand's national sport. It is punches, kicks, knees, and elbows, and it takes place in a boxing ring. So in that sense, it is martial arts, but it is more like boxing, where boxing, like, you don't hold anything back. So you punches, kicks, knees, elbows, you're going for the knockout. So that's a little bit different than Taekwondo, which is more like precision based, where it's like, okay, I'm going to stop at this point and not follow through, which takes Taekwondo like a little bit like accuracy and everything.
Mhm.
And where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is different. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is grappling. It's submissions, locks, holds. Similar to judo in that sense. They both wear like a gi if you do gi jiu-jitsu, but there's also no gi jiu-jitsu nowadays, which is becoming very popular as well. It's just basically shorts and a t-shirt or a rash guard, and
Well,
so there's variations in the sport.
yeah. So when we talk about this, and we'll get back to just kind of where you're at and what you've got going on. When we start talking about Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu and boxing, a lot of people are really familiar with Ronda Rousey and what happened there
Yeah.
in the ring with that's MMA, right?
Yes.
And so that was the first time a boxer, and I think was it Ronda Holmes?
Holly Holmes.
Holly Holmes that took her out. It was the first time a boxer had taken out somebody like Rousey, and Rousey was Muay Thai, or was she
Rousey was judo.
judo? Okay,
Yeah, Olympian. Yeah.
yeah. And so they thought, well, the boxer's never going to survive. What are your thoughts on that? And then can you kind of give us a little bit of feedback on just why one was so successful, why Holly was so successful at that time?
Well, total game plan, and I think that although people know Holly Holm as a boxer, she trained with Mike Winklejohn, who was one of the coaches at Jackson's Winklejohn MMA gym in Albuquerque, and so she'd always been around the sport of MMA.
Okay.
So that kind of like I know personally, because I saw her sparring with people when I was down at Greg Jackson's gym several years ago, like 2010. So I think that was like a little bit before. Well, that was before she got into the UFC for sure, and she was kind of like I think near the end of her boxing phase.
Yeah.
And so, total game plan, just having that game plan, and in combative sports, there's always somebody who comes along who's just got your number, and for Ronda Rousey, that was Holly Holmes. Like, Ronda Rousey, before that time, was, nobody thought she could be beat.
Yeah.
But anybody can be beat. We're humans, and yeah.
I don't think, and we'll get back to the Ghost in the Machine here. I don't think she's ever recovered from that, because I watched her next match, and same thing. She didn't look fit. She didn't look prepared. She didn't look like the Ronda Rousey we knew from the past. Now, you talk about getting beat and stuff like that. How do you recover how do you recover from something like that? You've been to Thailand. You've been down to these big places, and I mean, there are guys that just live and breathe the sport that you're in.
Yeah.
How do you recover?
That is, that's tough, and it's, in that sense, it's different than other sports, because it can be so devastating to a person to lose. And I remember the first time I ever lost in front of my hometown at the Roadhouse Rumble years ago. I think it was Roadhouse Rumble number 2 or 3, and I was the main event. And looking back, I wasn't ready physically, emotionally, but it's different for everybody in that sense, like how they recover. And I remember telling my friends, like, I think I'm done. And one of my best buds was like, Ricardo Alas was like, yo, like, are you kidding me? Like, you train so hard for this, and you're going to just quit now, like, and it just kind of like give your head a shake. And so sometimes it takes good teammates as well, saying, "Hey, get back on that horse, and try it again." And I'm thankful that he did that for me, because I just needed that extra push.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for Rhonda, it's motivation. What motivates people, and that could be different for everybody as well.
I think the toughest thing for anybody is when you're on top of your game and you get knocked off. I think we're seeing this. I love golf, and we're seeing this in the world of golf with Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting back at it, and I think the biggest thing for him is his ego. How did you, with that loss, how did you reconcile with it? Now, you're a little bit older now. How old are you?
41.
41. Okay, so at age 41, if you take a loss to a younger guy, what does that say to you? Or does it say, hey, I need to train a little bit different? Or do you go like, well, I'm 41, it's going to be expected?
Yeah, well, that for me is one of the reasons why, like, as far as like fighting, like, I do a little bit of sparring here and there in the gym, but there's younger guys who are faster, stronger, they're in better shape than me, and I realize that the things that I expect of my athletes, I couldn't necessarily do myself. So therefore it's like it's time to like turn the page in my life and focus on being a coach.
Yeah. So self-acceptance, like,
Yes.
just be the best you can be.
Yes, yeah.
Right, at what you do, and I think that's a great message in anything in life. As we age, it doesn't mean that we stop doing things. We maybe do things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
I always post about getting out and doing stairs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day I did a personal best where I ran actually 2 laps of the top set of stairs, the ones that you see on Whoop Up Drive. That was a personal best for me.
Yeah.
At 52 years of age, when I have something like that, I go like, yeah, I've still got it. I just have to do things a little bit differently.
Absolutely.
Because I have to know myself. How important is it for you, like especially with Progressive Fighting Academy, how important is it for you to know yourself but still push yourself? And in your area, what is pushing yourself?
Yeah, well, again, that's setting goals and achieving those goals. I have goals with developing and learning, and I'm always trying to learn new things. It just doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to go out and implicate those things like I once did as an athlete. Like, I'm not going to go and compete and win world titles like I had in the past. It means passing it on to other people and teaching them how they can achieve those goals, and in that way, as a coach, like, living vicariously through them is how I feel I do it.
Yeah. So how long has tell me the story behind the Progressive Fighting Academy. How long has it been around, and then what does it do, and where is it located?
Okay, we are located inside Lethbridge Fitness, and it's been around since 1995. We started off just as a club, just doing kickboxing, and eventually branched off to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now we've got wrestling coaches like Andrew Turner, who teaches wrestling at our facility, and so we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, which are all probably the main components of mixed martial arts.
I remember, back in the day, everything was karate or taekwondo.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it used to be, whether you were international or world, but those were the big ones. Why has it changed so much?
I think with things like the UFC and televised exposure, that people see that there is other options, and I also think that people have like this competitive aspect, and they like watching, the sports of kickboxing and mixed martial arts, which are you can see on TV every day now.
Yeah. Is there any one discipline that you think is better than the other? I guess talking about Holly Holmes and Ronda Rousey, clearly it's jiu-jitsu could be good, or kickboxing could be good, or boxing could be good, but is there one that really stands out, or is it just it depends on the level of expertise in each?
I would say it depends on the level of expertise, but I also like thinking like it just depends on what you're looking for. It's like I think like I'm still a huge fan of Muay Thai. I love Muay Thai. It's a great way to get in shape, but you know, is it necessarily like there's things that are applicable to self-defense for it, but in that sense, like if I was going to use Muay Thai for self-defense, I would say, it's not as realistic as something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or something like of that nature, because let's take like our weather. You're trying to throw a high kick in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Like that's not realistic. Whereas like, well, the idea of I threw that high kick in winter weather and slipped and fell and went to the ground. Okay, now I better have some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu knowledge to be able to like get off the ground and put myself in a better position.
Yeah.
So, it depends on what you're looking
there's a
for.
lot of thinking that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fitness-wise, what does that look like for you? I mean, obviously you're a very, very fit person. How many times did you kick me on Saturday?
Oh,
Is it like about 10 times?
yeah, probably about 10 times.
Because we had. I know it's crazy, but we had this area kind of. Everyone stepped way back, and I think the first couple of times I kind of did it wrong, and you were actually standing quite close. But then right at the end, you were almost warmed up, and then you were using
trying to clear some space to get some distance to be able to.
Yeah, you were really like building up momentum and really coming in. I mean, you were working hard.
Yes, yeah.
Because each kick was just incredibly powerful. And I can say that because I was the one bearing the brunt of it. It was amazing though. But that the fitness that's required to do that, because you kicked harder and harder and harder each time. But at the same time, I mean, that's a complete anaerobic workout.
Yeah. It is anaerobic, and and that's where like I'm not at the shape that my athletes are.
Mm-hmm.
I still stay in shape through things like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, holding pads for people, but I don't. I'm not in as good a shape as they are.
Yeah, but still in very impressive shape. I mean, you run, work out, you go to the gym. What's that like for you?
Basically, when I train, like I'm holding pads for people all day, moving around. So I'm still throwing punches and kicks at them. I still do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I do lots of lessons with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So that means I'm like rolling around, grappling. I should be lifting more weights, finding time to lift weights. I lift weights, but it's usually like, here and there. It's not like a set program, which I should be.
Yeah.
That's something
life gets in the way. I mean, your work is a workout, but I mean, you balance that professional life with the family life too.
Yes, yeah.
Because you're married. You've got how many kids?
2 kids. Yeah.
2 kids, and I mean, it's how important is that balance for you, and how important is that sharing with the kids?
It's very important. I love teaching my kids stuff, like playing around, just goofing around, doing martial arts with the kids. My daughter and I were just doing jiu-jitsu yesterday and rolling around and just goofing around and having a good time with it. So
yeah. Do you find now, kind of on the darker side of things, do you find because of the level of athleticism that you've reached, do you find that people, they expect that of your kids, or do your kids get picked on because of that?
I wouldn't say that for sure, but I think that's why my daughter likes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a little bit more than Muay Thai and kickboxing, because she knows my background, and that allows her to kind of like achieve something a little bit different than her dad.
In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there are belts, right?
There are belts. Yes.
Okay, and so you have
a purple belt.
A purple belt. How does the structure work there?
So the structure is similar to other martial arts in the sense they start out with a white belt. For Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it takes quite a bit longer. Like usually, I know like my instructor Anderson Goncalves, he doesn't hand out belts easily. So to get a blue belt, which would be the next level, like there's stripes, but to go from a white belt to a blue belt can take several years, and
Oh,
then
wow.
several more years to get a purple belt. So if you're looking at being a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's going to be easily 10, 12 years before you're even
Oh, you're
close to
kidding.
being a black
Well,
belt.
that's really different from
Yes,
Taekwondo and
yeah.
Karate.
Yes, yeah.
Really different.
So, yeah, like, but I guess like that's with individual instructors. Like some instructors, you might be able to get a blue belt in like 6 months to a year. So traditionally in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it was a little bit harder, but now like it's just probably depends on the instructor.
It really sounds to me like it's all about focus
Focus, absolutely.
and knowing what you want.
Yeah.
And so, you're a very focused guy. You're goal driven. What does the future hold for Progressive Fighting Academy and for Brad Wall?
Well, the future is going to be bright because we're planning on moving into a new location here
Oh,
in the
wow.
fall.
Yeah.
So we've got a new, bigger, better location, which is awesome. And
Can you say where that's going to be?
I can't quite say it right now until like the exact the lease is signed, but
Okay.
Basically it's within a few days of being signed. So
Well, congratulations. That's excellent.
thank you. Yeah, so that's exciting. Um, and just I figure that I've got a good couple years to focus on developing athletes, and that's kind of my goal. And right now we've got a lot of great athletes who are developing under Progressive Fighting Academy. And not only that, like I guess I should say too, like we're not only focused on athletes. Majority of our people just train for fun and fitness. So I like to see people reaching their goals, losing weight, getting in the best shape of their life.
Yeah. So, are you saying then, like here I am coming up on 52 years of age? Is it just a young person's thing, or is it something that a guy like me could get into?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Anybody can. I've got a guy the other day who's 61 years old who's basically just started sparring, 3 months ago, I believe it was. And he's just like, I just want to do it for fun and fitness. But I want to say, like, I got in there with the Lucas Neufelds and the Tom O'Connors, guys who are like professional fighters. Just say, hey, I went around a few rounds with these guys. And
Yeah.
maybe they take it a little bit lighter on him, but it's just like he's a part of the team, just like anybody else. And so at 61 years old, he can do that.
Yeah.
Then anybody can.
It actually sounds really exciting. I would love to kind of get kind of involved in that again, because many years ago, when I was quite a bit of a younger fellow, I was into Taekwondo, and I've always been, because of my experience with hypnosis and everything, I've always been a huge fan of centering, submission fighting, things like
Yeah.
that. But I am a sloth in the ring. Like I am like the slowest guy that you've probably ever seen, and that's why I never went any further in Taekwondo, because I was just too slow. I was just way too laid back, couldn't anticipate moves. But this sounds really exciting.
Yeah, and I would say to kind of combat that. That's one thing great about mixed martial arts, because it takes from so many different other martial arts that one guy's strength is maybe wrestling, another person's strength is stand-up. It kind of you can play to your strengths and weaknesses as well. So
Yeah.
that's a cool thing about it. A cool thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is with like our gi program, it's different than our no gi program and that sort of thing. Like, so there's something for everyone in our programs.
Yeah, and I think people maybe at some point they really don't realize that they look at these guys and go like, wow, people are getting hurt, and you got to be able to walk away from that. Oh, I've got a regular job I got to go to on Monday. I can't be sparring on the weekend.
Yeah.
But from the sounds of it, it's really geared to there are the athletes in it, but there's also the people in it. Guys 60 years old and having
Absolutely.
fun.
And you don't have to spar, and that's what lots of people choose, just to go to Muay Thai class and hit pads, or just choose to like learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques and do a little bit of rolling. They're not interested in actually competing. That's up to them. I think competition is a great way to kind of test yourself and to see the level that you're at, but you don't need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? It sounds absolutely fantastic. I wish you the best, continued success, and as you kind of move forward and you go into this next level, I hope that you see like some more amazing, wonderful things. I would love to be able to come into the new facility, well, even into the facility we're in right
Absolutely.
now, and do like a live interview and watch some of the stuff going on, and
For sure.
and maybe learn some stuff. I think that would just be fun.
Anytime, yeah.
That would definitely be fun.
That'd be my pleasure.
Brett, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the program
you.
this morning. So there you have it. You know what? The talent that exists here in Lethbridge is absolutely amazing. When we kind of reach out, we connect, we learn a lot, not just about the people in our community, but about ourselves as well, and maybe about other things that can inspire us and move us forward. So, takeaway for today, connection. Be connected, stay inspired, have an amazing day. Thank you very much. We'll be posting links on the website so that you guys can kind of follow along. And any questions you have, by all means, ask those questions. Let's be positive and let's get connected on it. Have yourself an amazing day.